Everybody, it's Craig back with your Doc Sports Docs Daily. And it is Friday, August 1st. Welcome to August. And you know what August is? Which we got football in July for once, but it's football starting month, even if we don't count CFL, I guess. But I hope everybody had a winning night last night if you bet the Hall of Fame game. I think some of us had it, some of us didn't. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But preseason, of course, starts for real week 1 on Thursday. And we'll talk about how you get on the early bird specials here in a minute. But don't forget, if you haven't done so, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you get in on our free $60 account. Go to docsports.com/free60. That's for all new customers. Check us out. That's just that simple. It goes $60 in your account. You use it just like cash. It comes with a guarantee, just like all of our other plays. So if you use $30 to say get Robert's plays and they lose today, you'll get that extended so you actually will win on your plays. So make sure you get in on it. Of course, if you're an existing customer, just go to the grid. Get in on our best plays. Robert, what do you – oh, before I do so, don't forget about the premium. We got 3 levels of premium here at YouTube. It's very simple, $4.99. That's the new level 1. We don't have it on the right up here, but that's Lenny's free pick premium level 1 pick every day, Monday through Friday. I think he's doing that. Every once in a while, he'll probably and you get early access to the other Cappers plays. Sometimes we film stuff that's for the weekend, and you're going to get that right away. So that's that can pay for itself right there. Level 2 is Indian Cowboy. You get his place, plus you get the level 1, $19.99 a month, or you get the 3 DocSport expert plays every day for the premium plus, $49.99 a month, and it comes with level 1 and 2 included as well. So, all right, now we got all the housekeeping stuff. Robert, how'd you do yesterday? And anything big for today?
Losers. Detroit Lion losers. It was awesome to watch, really. It's like, man, remember how much fun it was to get blown out in the playoffs because we turned the ball over 17 times? Let's just pick right up where we left off right there. The opening kickoff fumbled, not the start that you want to have. So, I should have trusted my first instinct last week where I was like, you know what? Don't love the game. Stay away. I lost with the Lions, but I'm okay with it. Like, we talked about it last week, Craig. Like, the 2 things you can't handicap are injuries and turnovers, right? Like, if I'd known that they were going to turn the ball over 5 times, then maybe I wouldn't have taken them. But I wasn't expecting that level of sloppiness out of Detroit. And just weird that, they gave up 34 points, but the Chargers' yards per point was like 7.4 for the game, something like that. At one point in the fourth quarter, their yards per point was like 4. Which is just unbelievable. So a miss there. Not that I'm at all irritated by it. Not that you can tell at all. Passing in baseball today because number 1, I don't like the matchups. Number 2, I see something kind of juicy for tomorrow that I'll probably have a big play. Number 3, I don't want to overreact to the trade deadline yesterday with anything big. So quiet day for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about the trade deadline here in a second. Nick, though, let's get how did you yesterday, and what do you got to anything big today?
Yeah, yesterday was a good day, and like Robert said, it was a sloppy game. That's kind of why I took a pass on week 0 there for the preseason. I will have a play next week for the preseason, but a 7-unit Andrew Abbott under 2.5 earned runs. Folks, he only had 2 earned runs given up. We cashed that 7-unit. We're coming right back today with another 7-unit player prop. That game goes off at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and a 5-unit WNBA play tonight that goes off at 7:30. We're 6-2 over my last 8 selections, so we're steamrolling here in the WNBA and on the prop side of things. So good day yesterday. Looking to continue that momentum here over the weekend, Craig.
Yeah, it's the day after the trade deadline can be a little wanky. I wanted a 7-unit play so bad today, but I was like, I got to take it down a notch just because of the trade deadline and all the different, like some teams are sellers, some teams are buyers, some teams were in the middle, some teams sold and then bought too. I was like, what are you doing? So we'll see how that shakes out. But I do have a 6-unit play in Major League Baseball. Going for the 5th straight top play winner tonight. So it's been a good week so far, and I look to keep it going tonight. Of course, you can use it. We got a new promo code, AUGTEN. That gets you 10% off all month long, so make sure you use that. That goes up to the month passes. So get a month pass. We also have the early bird passes. I believe it's $749 or $750. That gets you all football plays, both college football, NFL, preseason, everything, all the way through the Super Bowl. So make sure you get in on that over at the website. That's for every capper. So just go over there and click on the grid, right, Robert? It's under football. You just click the grid football, and then you'll see the
right
options.
there. They got the top, the first package is like the preseason package. I think it was $45 for a preseason package. Then right below that is the $750 for the early bird. Like we said yesterday, it breaks out to like under $28 per week for the full season. All the bowl picks, college playoff, NFL playoffs, a full Super Bowl card, game of the years. That's everything. That's 6-7 months worth of football picks for our best rate of the year. And as I mentioned yesterday, I want to keep pointing this out. Inflation, everybody hates it, right? We have not raised the prices on our football packages since I've been here. So it's been 20 years. It's been the same price. So it's a really fantastic deal.
It will go up a week after the preseason, though, right? It's like 12.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going to hold it through that first week 0 of college football. They may, but leading into the first like full week of college football, it will be gone. You will have missed that opportunity, and it goes up by like $200, $250, something like that.
Yeah, so make sure you get on now, saves your money. All right, let's talk a little bit of the trade deadline. Winners and losers. Robert, let's go with you. You go with big winner, and then we'll see and then we'll go back to big loser. What do you think big winner as far as trade deadline? Which teams you like the most?
Well, we talked about them briefly yesterday, but I like what Seattle did, mainly because they addressed their clear and obvious weakness, right? They pushed their chips in because, as we also discussed, that the American League is wide open. So I like that they were bold versus some teams like Detroit, some teams like the Yankees that made moves but didn't make any big moves. Really nothing that I feel like is going to move the meter in their favor. I think Seattle is a completely different team right now because of the moves. But the number one thing is they got 2 of the best hitters on the market, and they really didn't give up that much. So I thought it was a really good day for them. I thought it was bizarre, weird, funny, ironic, however you want to describe it, that Correa is going back to Houston. I think that's just going to be kind of like a really
And he had to waive the no trade, right? He had to waive his no trade clause.
Yeah. I mean, he couldn't do it fast enough, I'm sure, right? But that's just going to be really interesting to see how that plays out for the rest of the season. And good on Houston for, bulking up their pitching's been fantastic, but their hitting is streaky. But adding a guy like that, he hasn't been very good this year, but we know what he can do. And they were able to kind of counter what Seattle did. So Seattle and Houston in that American League West was, I thought, the biggest winners.
Nick, what do you think? Winners, specifically, I thought the Rangers with Kelly. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the whole AL West, especially the Texas Rangers getting Kelly now in that rotation with DeGrom. You got Eovaldi, and then you got Patrick Corbin there doing great things this season. It's very weird to say that Patrick Corbin doing really well, but he's doing well, and I think it's a plus on that Texas Rangers side in the rotation. Yes, the hitting will come. You got Seagers back in the lineup, and they're starting to produce a little more on the offensive thing, but I like this move. They were aggressive because they saw Seattle go out and get what they needed. They needed hitters in Suarez and Naylor to drive in runs. That's what they've been lacking even last year. They have a great rotation in the Seattle Mariners. So I think it's a win all across the AL West. And then Carlos Correa coming back, like Robert said, to the Houston Astros. Hopefully he could jumpstart that offense, as they are only averaging 4.3 runs per game, which is 16th best in baseball. I think it adds a little spark to that offensive lineup, and we start to see the Houston Astros contribute on the offensive side a lot more in this second half. So the whole AL West, very good. Detroit, not so good, getting Paddock there. Chicago Cubs, I don't know what the hell you guys were doing either. Just very, very aggravating to see, especially as a diehard Cubs fan, when, you got Mason Miller going to the San Diego Padres, and with JP Sears with the Athletics too. I think that was an okay pickup. but it's not something that the San Diego Padres needed necessarily. They needed bats, and they still struggle to produce runs. So I don't know if that's a win on the San Diego Padres side, but you got a great closer and a reliable arm from the left side. So it's I would say the San Diego Padres are in that middle of the tier. The AL West, they absolutely dominated this trade deadline.
I was surprised the Dodgers didn't move. I was surprised the Dodgers didn't make some more moves. They traded away. The worst pickup, I thought, was the Red Sox getting May. Like, yes, he's had talent, and we've seen what he could do. He hasn't done it this year. So I was a little shocked that the Dodgers didn't move, and I was surprised. It sounded like the Red Sox. What was they had? It sounded like they were going to get the Twins. God, who was his name?
Duran.
No,
Closer?
their ace, Ryan. It sounded like they were
Ryan.
I can't believe Minnesota didn't trade him. They traded everybody else.
It sounded like they had an agreement, and then it balked at the last minute, and then they kind of got desperate and had to make a swift pivot to get May. Don't know if that's going to do enough. So, what do you think about worst pickups, or maybe teams that didn't make pickups, Robert?
Okay, couple things to touch on what we just talked about. Like the Merrill Kelly move, like really just didn't do much for me with Texas. Like they're number 1 in ERA, number 1 in WHIP. Like they have pitching, right? Like you have dominant pitching. So why trade prospects for a guy who's 36-year-old to get like even more pitching? You know what I mean? Like even if they make the wild card round, you're talking you got to win 3 games. It's a short series, right? Like he's not even going to start for them. So I didn't like what the Rangers did there when it's kind of obvious that I felt like they needed some bats. The May move, though, like I kind of like that because I felt like they bought low on him. And to your point, he has arm talent. He hasn't been the same since the injury. But if we're projecting out over the next 2 or 3 years, not bad. And Boston, like they've had one of the best records in baseball. So I think they're 17-7, something like that. Like you remember they traded Devers to San Francisco, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're waving the white flag. Like, what are they doing?" Right? They've been great since they got rid of him. San Francisco's been terrible since they got rid of him. So just remember that about the deadline, that it cuts both ways. But the obvious loser is the Twins. Like, what do you like? This is ridiculous. This is nonsense. Like they had 26 guys on the roster. They got rid of 10 of them yesterday. They traded half of their team yesterday. Like I said, I can't believe they didn't trade Ryan. Like, why not? Just go for it. Not to dive too deep in the weeds here, but like there's some sale talk about the Twins. Like they're in the middle of a sale. This is obviously like cost cutting. Like we're very, very close, I feel like, to seeing the Twins become like a Pittsburgh Pirates, Tampa Bay Rays, like see them fold into one of those periods where they're among the lowest payrolls in baseball, and they're going to be a team that's consistently threatening to lose 100 games. And they just ripped the Band-Aid off yesterday. That's, we talk about it like, what's that locker room like? And in fact, I'm going to go right to my free play. That's my free play. You got to be betting on Cleveland today. Like, what is that locker room like for Minnesota? Like Ryan being on the mound is holding that price down to -115. Like that's just the books looking at the 2 starters and keeping that number. But who's Minnesota going to trot out there? Who's in the bullpen to finish off the game if he doesn't throw a complete game? And the bigger point, again, what is that locker room like? What is the vibe in that Minnesota locker room on the road in Cleveland today? So, Cleveland's dominated the series. They've won 7 out of 10, and that was with a full Minnesota team. So absolutely you need to be betting on Cleveland today. Yeah. Justin Coolin's asking, against Joe Ryan. Yes, because Joe Ryan isn't hitting. He's not in the lineup. He's not in the bullpen. Like, I think Minnesota gets wrecked today.
If your only way you can play Minnesota is if you play at first 5, because then you would only be playing Ryan. After that, it's going to be a problem for the next couple days until you get everybody up and like, oh, hey, what's his name? What's his name? Like, this is who's playing where? I mean, that is going to be. I would hate to be the manager there. I will say I was disappointed in what the Cubs did. I thought they were in a clear spot to win this year, and they kind of just made middling moves. I don't know if your feeling is that, Nick, but it was like they just made like moves. It's kind of like my Reds. It was just like, well, we don't want to like go all in. And it's like, what are you waiting for, dude? You're hitting the lights out of the ball this year. Give a little pitching to that team. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I just think it's because they're looking ahead too, because they got a lot of returners coming back next year. Obviously, Justin Steele's in that rotation,
Yeah.
and then Jamison Talon, he's obviously hurt as well. So is it a look ahead necessarily? I don't know. They weren't aggressive at this trade deadline, so they're confident in those guys in the clubhouse. It's just I'm going to sound like a broken record every time I come on Docs Daily. It's just my concern is this bullpen. Yes, we could score 12 runs, 10 runs, but we might give it up in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah.
You have to find somebody that's going to absolutely come in and step up to the occasion in the later innings in this rotation. There's got to be somebody in this bullpen to step up here in the second half for the Cubs. They didn't do what I wanted them to do, be aggressive here and go for it, because Milwaukee, well, they were a little more aggressive than the Cubs were, and they're going to try to take you down and take this division here. So I'm not sold on what the Cubs did. I'm not happy about it, but I think it's a look ahead to next year. We got guys returning. We have our position players. We don't want to give up too much for, little return.
Dodgers and the Yankees didn't make like the blockbuster moves that we've sometimes been used to them making. The cost moves where it's like, oh yeah, we'll take on a $35 million player because they're good. I mean, I get it. Both those teams have been very good this year, maybe more so. The Dodgers early and, the Yankees maybe even early. But I was surprised that there wasn't a bigger name moving to one of these type markets. We'll see. We'll never know. We never know until it's later in the year. That's the thing.
Well, a couple teams, like there's still so many teams that are in it.
Yeah.
Number one.
So many teams vying for the same guys.
The Yankees made a lot of moves. Like they brought in like 7 new guys, 6 new guys, something like that. But to your point, they didn't make the big splashy move. But frankly, when we talk about the Yankees, they haven't been that team for a while that goes out. You know what I mean? Like
buys,
just all in. And from the Dodgers perspective, it's like, why didn't they make moves? Like, where do they need to upgrade? You know what I mean? Like, they're loaded everywhere. And if they need somebody, they know that their farm system is loaded and that they can bring people in. I feel like a move right now, a big move from them would have been kind of like an act of desperation. Like, I feel like they're kind of set up really well. And to your point, Nick, like the Mets were definitely a winner yesterday. My Mets is like, they completely rebuilt their bullpen, bringing in three new arms there. Like, I feel like that's what you would have wanted to see the Cubs do. So now, the Mets kind of built themselves for October baseball by really like hammering down on that bullpen. So we'll see.
Didn't you think Mets and Phillies were kind of a coin flip before the trade deadline? Now I think the Mets have a clear edge right now, barring injuries. Obviously, I just thought I like what the Mets did. They addressed what they needed to address. Mm-hmm. I still think the Phillies, like, they just have some weaknesses that I didn't think they fixed yesterday.
I agree with you there. Like, they did middling moves too. Harrison Bader was kind of a sneaky, decent pickup for them. But I just think the Phillies are better than the Mets. I just don't trust the Mets. The Phillies have a little bit more of a winning mentality, where the Mets just are kind of losers until proven otherwise. So I agree that the Mets had a better day yesterday than the Phillies. But if I'm still like, if I got to bet on one of them to win that division, I still think it's Philadelphia.
They still need. I mean, Soto really has had a average year, like for a guy that you paid what you paid him,
$1 billion.
Yeah, like I think the Yankees are probably pretty happy so far this year. Like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't such a bad thing that we didn't win that free agent, because he has not put up those numbers. He still has time. If he puts it up in the playoffs, no one's going to remember what he did rest of the season. So
no, they're not happy that they don't have him now. They definitely wish they had him now. They're going to be happy when he's 38 years old and still making like $95 million a year. That's when the Yankees are going to be like, oh, that's why we didn't do that.
Yeah, some of these guys, I'm guessing these teams are betting that they pay him so much early that the guys will retire and they won't ever pay him at the end of it. But it's like, boy, how do you retire when you're making these big, 65, 67 million, especially if you're a starting pitcher nowadays. You see some of these starters like who was it? What's his name for the Tigers?
Skubal.
Skubal's going to sign an 8-9-year deal. He's like 30. He's 30?
No, he's not 30. He's 29. 29
so you signed him 8 years. That's 37 years old. That is like that's getting up there. And, and there's an escalator. So each year it gets more expensive. It doesn't go the opposite way. If it was like, oh, we pay him 70 when he's awesome, and each year it went down, okay, maybe the finances of the league is only going to go up for a TV revenue. Nick, why don't you give us a free play? What do you like for today? Any juicy underdogs out there?
Not looking at an underdog, but let's talk about this Houston Astros team and the Boston Red Sox here. The Houston Astros will have Hunter Brown on the mound. He's been one of their most reliable with Valdez in this rotation here. He's 9-5 on the season. He has 124 innings of work. He has 149 strikeouts. He is coming off a loss in his last performance, so I am looking for him to bounce back here, as the Boston Red Sox will have Cooper Criswell on the mound. He's 1-0 on the season. His ERA is just over a 5 here. He only has 10 innings of work, and this will be his first start of the year here. So it is going to be a bullpen game here for the Boston Red Sox. Yes, they're on a 2-game winning streak. So are the Houston Astros. But like we've been talking about here with Carlos Correa, almost said Carrasco, with Carlos Correa back in this lineup, can they juice this offensive run production? Yes, the Boston Red Sox are 4th right now in runs per game, averaging 5. But like I said, you got Carlos Correa back in this lineup. I think it lights a fire under their butts here and score and produce in this second half. I like the Houston Astros in game 1 of this series here with Hunter Brown on the mound. I think it's a bounce back game in this spot for the Houston Astros over the Boston Red Sox today, Craig.
Hey, did anybody, this was supposed to be Crochet's spot in the rotation, and they pushed it back at least till tomorrow. So be careful if you're looking at Boston tomorrow. Sometimes that is an indication that there's some, where there's smoke, kind of there's fire kind of thing. So be careful if you're playing Boston tomorrow and you say, oh, Ace Crochet's on the mound. He was supposed to go today. So when you push a guy back, not always a big deal, but it's something that I always like track because, these guys are maintain 5 days rest. That, like every 5 days they're going to pitch. So pay attention. I like a little underdog. I like actually 2 underdogs. I'm going to throw them both out there. Texas plus 163. Like we said, I like what Texas did. They have so much pitching. and like Robert said, in short series, like the wild card, that doesn't necessarily help you. But, say one of these guys go down. We've already missed some games this year. Then you kind of have that extra. And I also think it moves, like Patrick Corbin's going to be, their 4th or 5th guy now. So now Corbin's going to go against even worse pitchers. That should help them in the regular season. So I do like Texas in this spot. I think this is a team that's headed upside. And I do think we're getting a little overreaction. I think Robert talked about it. Maybe it was yesterday. It was last week. When teams are the big – and I think Seattle was the big winner just because they went out early and they tacked on another. They got exactly what they needed, which is they hadn't had offense in forever. Seems like Griffey was the last time they had a good offensive player. So now they have that, and now everybody's like on Seattle. So I think Texas isn't – this should be more like plus 140, and so we're getting an extra juice. Give me plus 163 on Texas. The other underdog I like here, call me crazy, I think St. Louis here. I am not sold on this Padres team. I don't know if there's any starter they have that should be minus 183. This is an offense that doesn't score a lot of runs. I saw them in Cincinnati in 2 of those 3 games in that series, and they just don't score a lot of runs. I think St. Louis is at least a live underdog. You're not going to go crazy on this one, but at this price, I think you could take a swing. And at this price, you only got to win what 38%, 39%. You can show a profit when you're betting these type of numbers. So those are my 2 free plays. Robert, anything else? Either prop or anything else that you like kind of out there today? Because I think props are interesting after trade deadline as far as, wagers.
Yes, but no, I did not have anything. Like I said, I took the whole day off on baseball because one of the things you have to think about too is that how many of these guys that got traded yesterday are even going to play today? Like that's a realistic thing. I know that baseball players are used to just stepping off the plane and into the batter's box, and they're going to be ready to go no matter where they traveled. But it's going to take a minute for some of these guys to get acclimated. Like, don't look for instant impacts and don't get caught up against that market. Like, if you're all in on Suarez props this weekend in Seattle, well, take a beat. It's different lineup. He's facing pitchers that he's not as familiar with, not as hitter friendly a park, I think would say in Seattle. So just be careful with stuff like that. So no, I'm definitely more of a wait and see guy in terms of that. But I'm just going to be looking at those teams that I thought were big sellers and big losers in the trade mark yesterday, and those are the teams over the next 10 days that I'm going to look to make my money betting against.
Yeah, interesting team out there right now is Florida. The Marlins have been really good since the All-Star break. I mean, they're like 3 or 4 games on 500. They didn't just sell everybody. Now they didn't go out and make any difference in the other way either. But it's like, can this team keep up? Do you think, Nick, this is sustainable? What they've done? It's not like they've done it over a week. They've done it over about a month now. What do you think? Someone like the Miami Marlins. Sorry, I said Florida.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of pressure on the offensive side. They're scoring a lot more runs here, and they score a lot more runs early on in games. So look for them early on in ball games, especially the first 5 innings at home. But I want to get into a little player prop in this exact game. You got Carlos Rodon on the mound. He's had an awful, awful July, I would say, from one of the guys who's supposed to be your horse here. But today, against this Miami Marlins team, the Marlins have struggled in the month of July, one of the worst hitting teams against left-handed pitching here. So a player prop that I'm looking at right now is going to be Carlos Rodon to go over 17.5 pitching outs, I believe it is. So he has to get through the whole 5th inning into that 6th inning, would obviously be those 18 outs. I think Carlos Rodon has a really good game here. He's not been having good starts. I think the month of August, he will get back on track here. And like I said, the Miami Marlins against left-handed pitching in the month of July was atrocious here. Even though they've been producing and playing good baseball, they're not good against left-handed pitching. Carlos Rodon steps up to the occasion. I think he gets over that 17.5 pitching outs in that one, Craig.
I mean, it's pretty amazing, though. You think Garrett Cole, they lost him, in March to the Tommy John surgery. Obviously, he was going to be the ace. You thought Rodon was either going to be the 2 or 3, and now, you kind of put that pressure on him that he's having to go up against a lot of number ones this year. Was great early. Like you said, we've kind of seen that. Can he get back to where he was early in the year? Yankees really need it. With Judge out, they might not have those big run-producing games. I always like pitching props after the trade deadline because I think the hitting props, like Robert said, guys, you just don't know. Even though they play interleague baseball, it's you go against guys you're not familiar with, not usually a positive. So I kind of like pitching props, and I kind of like Baz today. I just think he's not going to get the 5.5 strikeouts. That the over is 5.5. I like the under. It's a little juiced at -140. He hasn't done it in his last 3 starts. Before that, he had a bunch in a row, 7, 11, 9, 6, 6, 6 in a row. But the last 3 haven't been good. I don't think the Dodgers blow up, but I don't think they strike out a lot in this one. I think you take Baz under his strikeout prop. I was kind of hoping that the Rays for once would be buyers. And we've seen the Rays be sellers since they've been in existence, they've been selling. I think what they've done since the trade, since the All-Star game didn't help them go out and give confidence. And their ownership group, is that ownership group taken over this year? Or is it on the offseason? Does anybody know?
I'm not sure.
That sale went through. It's the big investor. He's a big real estate investor. And they got a lot of moving parts there. Like the ballpark that they were going to build. Obviously, that all kind of blew up when the stadium blew up. Now they're having to fix the stadium, which you're fixing a stadium you're going to get rid of. It's kind of, I don't know. Doesn't sound like the smartest idea, but I don't.
It doesn't sound like that deal has been finalized.
No, but it sounds like it's in principle, kind of
yes,
yep,
right,
just
right.
Weird.
So it wouldn't kick in until next year, basically. But again, kind of to your point, kind of like the Twins, that's why they were probably more likely to stand pat rather than add payroll at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have to go to that no ownership group and say, hey, what do you because you don't want to trade away parts that this guy's buying. Say he loves Ryan, and he's like, dude, I don't want to buy this team if we don't have an ace pitcher, whatever. So it's interesting how these moving parts, and I think we're going to see a lot more moves. Now that I believe Major League Baseball approved that they can have equity finance groups just like the NFL, right? Where you can get up to 20 or 25%. So you're going to see a lot of influx of money coming into teams, even if they don't sell. So it's going to be interesting next couple years, not just in Major League Baseball, NFL too. Not that the NFL owners necessarily need it, but it just frees up cash. So you're like, all right, well, let's go make a swing of things. I don't really have to worry about it. I'm on a free roll, as they say in poker. So anything in the CFL you like tonight, either one of you? it's a tough game, I thought, in the CFL tonight. I had a bigger opinion last night. This one's a little tougher tonight with injuries. Every quarterback seems to be injured, but Toronto and Winnipeg, no Kelly. He's still out with the broken leg, right? Like, he broke that last year, right? Something's got to be up with that.
No CFL, no CFL handicapping for me. This is all you got. This is all you, Nick.
I mean, I don't dive that far into the players, just obviously the statistics, and I got an algorithm, but I'm all over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I think they got to get a win here. They're 3-3 on the season, and they're playing Toronto 2-5, and Toronto hasn't been good on the road. I know that their backup quarterback is in tonight, but I lean towards the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight.
Yeah, but these two just played last week. Toronto won
31-17.
Toronto won 31-17 last week. So interesting. Obviously, injuries have been the story with quarterbacks in the league. Both of them have backups in tonight. I kind of lean to Winnipeg here because it's probably the toughest place to play. If you've ever watched games, that is a pretty ruckus environment, tough place to play. So I do like Winnipeg. And then we got WNBA. Anybody have anything in the WNBA they maybe like tonight before we get out of here?
There are several. I don't necessarily have anything that I like, but there are several big plays from several handicappers. I think we have 4 big plays, a 7-unit, 2 6-units, and a 5-unit, I believe, going in the WNBA tonight. So there are some guys that are definitely shooting their shots. Sides totals were kind of all across the board. So no, there wasn't anything that I particularly fell in love with. I'm going to be watching that Indiana game closely. I like them a little bit tonight. When they get Caitlin Clark back and she's healthy, they're going to be really, really good. The fact that they are able to play 500 ball without, arguably the best player in the league, one of the 5 best players in the league is intriguing. Them as a road favorite, is that still just name recognition, Indiana being Indiana? That's not a situation I'm in on with my money, but it's one that I'm going to be watching very closely tonight.
I mean, I always feel like Indiana, they're like the Lakers. It's like just the name brings you an extra couple points. Yeah. So if you like the other side, you're probably getting 2 extra points. Dream probably should be like a 2-point underdog, maybe a 1.5. And so you're getting them at 4. If you like them at all, you got to be taking a swing. They have been good without Clark, though. They won the cup, right? They won the big in-season cup by like 20 on the road without Caitlin. So they've beat the best team in the league.
6-7. They're 6-7 without her, which isn't bad at all. By the way, if some of those CFL teams need a quarterback, they should make their move now and get Trey Lance. He looks pretty good.
He looked great.
CFL stud.
I'm like, why is he playing into the third quarter?
He was hot. Stay hot.
I miss something though? Like I'm guessing he's going to be their backup, right?
It's got to be.
Probably, but honestly, he was playing very well. And if they're trying to build a trade market for him, if he can put together, he threw the most passes in the preseason last year for Dallas. And I feel like that's what they were trying to do, is hope that they could get some games. They knew that they were the only game in town. They knew there were going to be a lot of eyeballs on it. If somebody goes down, maybe if you convince a team like the Jets, who are idiots, and something happens to Justin Fields or whatever, that you can make a move for Trey Lance. I feel like they're going to showcase him as much as possible.
I think one of the most underrated things in the NFL is depth. And depth at quarterback is so important. I mean, I know Joe Burrow, when he goes down, we suck. It seems like every year. A couple years ago, we did okay, actually. But to me,
he was awesome a couple years ago. Their backup was awesome a couple years ago. I can't think of his name right now.
His girlfriend with the pictures, I was like, what was her name? I can't think of that girl. And I said, dude, this guy just made $1 bazillion, and his girlfriend too, because, she was like an Instagram, whatever, famous TikToker or whatever that is. But to me, I think Trey Lance is a guy, if he's your backup, and I'm like, dude, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt because things have not gone well for him in his career. Let's just be honest.
Because he isn't any good. Because he isn't any good. It hasn't been bad luck. He just stinks.
Well, once you leave San Francisco, it's like leaving the back when they were good. The Patriots. It's like when the Patriots wave the white flag, you're not any good. It's like you're probably good. You're probably done because San Francisco has the best system. So once he left there, dude, it was never going to work. Probably.
I give him credit. He played well last night. He looked like a different guy. But again, last night was all about Detroit just throwing up on themselves more than I felt like it was.
I just want to see Detroit early how the coordinators were going to do, because, like every coordinator has a different spin on how they're going to do things. And, like you can somewhat see that in preseason games. And so I'm not gonna like make like the overreaction Monday in the NFL. It's like I'm not going to be overreaction on Friday about the Lions.
A preseason game,
right? But
preseason.
If we see this in the next couple preseason games, then it might be something for week 1 where because the Lions play the Packers week 1, right?
Yeah, and again, I talked about it on this show, and also on What Are the Odds, which is in 20 minutes. We're going to be doing Big Ten breakdown, season win totals, odds to win. So if you are interested in Big Ten football, college football, 2:00, What Are the Odds? But I've been talking about it with Detroit, that I'm like selling all of my Detroit stock heading into this year, right? And so I agree. It's a preseason game. You don't overreact. Like I'm salty because I took my left. Throw all that aside, okay, which I am able to do as a handicapper, and I can compartmentalize emotions versus analysis. It is odd to me that and I was joking about it at the beginning, but I think it's a valid point. They lost in the playoffs. They blew their opportunity last year because they didn't take care of the ball, okay, because they were loose with the ball because of mistakes, self-inflicted wounds, stuff like that. You would think that would be a focus, a priority, that would be the message that, hey, nobody really beat us last year. We beat ourselves. So let's like really focus on these little things. And then they came out and it was the exact opposite of that. Like that's weird. That's odd. That for me, that is a takeaway that now it's like, okay, now I'm going to be watching them next week when they're at Atlanta and the rest of the playoffs. Like, I just feel like that's a bad sign when that's how you got knocked out last year. And then you
turnovers in general. If you win the turnover battle in the NFL, you win most games. So it's like the most important thing you can do is take care of the football and create turnovers. So if you can do them both, that's like so. Anyway, we'll be talking a ton more. Next week we'll have week 1 of the NFL. That's preseason. That's on I think there's a couple games Thursday, a couple games Friday. I think they spread them out over the weekend. So we'll be talking a lot more next week. What's up, Nick?
We got a big 8-unit game of the year. Griffin Murphy, he's got it going off tonight at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
For who?
Go check it out. Griffin Murphy, MLB.
What's
game of the year?
You don't need to know the game. Yeah, okay, yeah. I figured that's why he wasn't on the show today, is that he's already like strapped into the straitjacket.
He got his workout and he's already ready to go.
MLB 8-unit game of the year. I've been eyeing a couple. And Kevin came up, so I swinging for the fences. I like it. Griffin Murphy 8-unit. It's $30. Hey, get $10 or 10% off. So it's just $27. Go over August AUGTEN, all one word, to get 10% off. So go get it on his 8-unit game of the decade. This is bigger. It's decade. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for joining in. We'll see you again on Saturday. No, I won't see you, but Lenny and Griffin. Griffin will be talking about his big winner, 11:00 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So make sure you get in. That's a fun show. And thanks again, guys. Hope all your bets are winning ones. Good luck.